controls the game and play makes and gets everybody involved, but also, the step backs and her shot. She remind me a lot of Luka in the sense of like, they both can control the game so well.
Imagine stepping onto a pro court and discovering that 1 in every 6 flagrant fouls, 17% of the league's total, will crash into you before the season ends. NFL legend-turned-analyst Shannon Sharpe took one look at that stat and barked, "If unnecessary roughness nailed a single player 17% of the time, that's no coincidence. That's a bullseye." So why is the WNBA's biggest draw also its easiest target? And how did a soft-spoken rookie morph into the league's most defiant trash talker, sparking NBA Hall of Famers to run to her defense while some women's legends brand her the bully? Stick around, because by the end of this story, you'll see how a single hard foul turned a ratings rocket into a powder keg, and why the next elbow could decide the future of the whole league. Caitlin Clark didn't just lead the league in rookie scoring last year, she also absorbed 5 flagrant fouls, a total that worked out to 17% of every flagrant call in the entire 2024 WNBA season. Put bluntly, nearly 1 in 6 unnecessary roughness whistles landed on the same 6-foot guard from Iowa. NFL Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe framed it in football terms.
These ladies, and I'm a WNBA fan, they cannot have this Caitlin Clark thing up any worse if they tried. People believe what we say on television. Just because people don't like you or your personality, they can't get on TV and slander you. It's just total bullshit.
If a single wide receiver took 17% of the late hits in an NFL season, we'd call that a bounty program, not a coincidence. "That's a bullseye," he growled on his Nightcap podcast. Numbers this lopsided don't happen by accident. They happen because everyone, opponents, referees, even frustrated veterans, treats Clark like open season. Dig into the play-by-play logs and you see a pattern. Hard checks at half court, shoulders driven through screens, and reach-ins that feel more like grabs. Stat services list her among the league leaders in hard contacts drawn before the 2025 opener even tipped, despite refs publicly vowing to protect shooters this year. In raw math, she's a statistical outlier. In street terms, she's a moving target, and targets eventually change their posture.
Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty, girl.
Clark's sophomore season would start with a statement, a foul heard round the league, but that pivot only makes sense once you appreciate how the numbers painted a bullseye on her jersey. Opening night 2025, 34 seconds left in the first quarter, and Angel Reese streaks to the rim on a breakaway everyone assumes will end in an easy 2. Instead, Caitlin Clark slides across the paint and slams on the brakes, delivering a shoulder-first take foul that knocks Reese to the floor and sends the crowd into stunned, buzzing silence. Players rush in, referees huddle at the monitor, and a routine season opener suddenly feels like the closing minutes of a finals Game 7. When the officials upgrade the hit to a flagrant, Clark turns, straightens her jersey, and doesn't bother looking surprised. She's the one who set the tone. At the post-game presser, reporters fish for an apology.
Caitlin, congratulations on an amazing season. Rookie of the Year is a big honor. You deserve it. Congratulations.
Clark offers none. Calmly, she calls it a good take foul, basketball 101, before adding that she's done asking for calls and ready to earn the space she needs. Those 15 words land harder than the foul itself. Last year's rookie who smiled through elbows and shrugged off cheap shots is gone. In her place stands a sophomore who will trade bruises for baskets without blinking. The message spreads faster than the highlight clip. On social media, half the comments cheer the new Clark energy, while the other half label her reckless. NBA veterans praise the edge. "She's off that stuff now," one ex-All-Star laughs on a podcast, while some W legends mutter that the rookie darling has turned bully. Either way, everyone's watching, and that attention only amplifies the next shove, the next stare down, the next headline.
Caitlin Clark for a while and what she's been doing for the games. This is my first time seeing him in person, so it's been dope.
What was it like when you saw her hit that 3?
Which one? The one that broke the record was crazy. I think she put up 2 feet beyond half court, so for me to see it in person, she's legit. You know, she's the best, so she's the GOAT, so, you know, her skill set far exceeds everything.
With a single foul, Clark flips the script. No longer the hunted, she's willing to hunt back. And in a league already crackling with rivalries, that shift is gasoline on a bonfire. Because every shot she dishes now comes with a receipt, and every rival is lining up to send one right back. That opening night hit didn't erupt out of nowhere. It was payback ricocheting from a season's worth of little cuts. During last year's West Coast swing, Skylar Diggins-Smith barked at Clark after a buzzer beater, telling her to earn your stripes while the cameras were already rolling.
Really cool to see her growth this last year, and the Fever as a whole, to see Kelsey get some playoff experience, and just the whole group, Aaliyah, the whole group. Just really cool to follow the team, and it's unfortunate that they lost, but they're a young group. They'll be back for success, and now locked in, watching more WNBA.
DeJounte Carrington followed up with an ice-cold stare down, then hopped on X a few hours later and blamed Clark for the ugly DMs her own fans were sending. Even practice court rumors leaked out, vets elbowing the rookie during walkthroughs to test her toughness, trainers racing to restock ice packs before shoot-around ended. Once the schedule flipped to spring, Chennedy Carter escalated from trash talk to shoulder checks, drilling Clark off a high screen and jawing "Welcome to the league" before walking away. Ryan Howard piled on in Atlanta, chirping through an entire timeout, then leaning close enough for the broadcast mics to catch every word. Clark didn't engage. She stared at the scoreboard instead, but the cameras caught her mouth curled just enough to say, "I've got the receipt." Those receipts add up: flagrant fouls, sideline jabs, quote tweets dripping with sarcasm. Collect them long enough and they form a ledger, and every ledger eventually demands balance. Clark's sophomore take foul was her statement that the bill has come due. She's no longer accepting deliveries without sending one back. And the moment a rivalry jumps from whispers to open warfare, bigger voices take notice. The next wave of commentary won't come from fellow W players at all. It'll roar in from the NBA's living legends, and their verdict could flip the entire conversation. When Hall of Famers start talking about a second-year WNBA guard, you know the temperature just spiked. On his podcast, Kevin Garnett leaned forward, eyes wide, and slapped the desk. She let it slide once, but this year she's sending the postcards back, stamped and signed. Beside him, Paul Pierce nodded, calling Clark's new edge exactly what happens when a scorer decides she's done being the punchline. Their approval mattered. Garnett and Pierce played through hand-checking, takedowns, and the bruised rib era of the early 2000s. If anyone recognizes a justified hard foul, it's them. When Garnett jokes that Clark has officially joined the club, it isn't empty hype. It's an invitation into a lineage of players who responded to rough treatment by sharpening their elbows and their tongues. Former Celtic guard and NBPA Vice President Keon Dooling added numbers to the praise. He pointed out that Clark's 17% target rate would have triggered an NBA investigation a decade ago, then challenged the W to adopt the same standard. Translation: if a whole generation of retired pros thinks the whistle is late, pressure on league offices doubles overnight. The commentary snowballed. Studio panels replayed the Reese flagrant alongside Garnett's soundbite, splicing in vintage clips of MJ shrugging off the Jordan rules, and Kobe answering hard fouls with harder jumpers. By week's end, Clark wasn't just a rising star, she was framed as the next link in basketball's toughest mindset chain. Once legends draw their line and permanent marker, today's All-Stars take notice, and some of the NBA's loudest current voices were already warming up to speak. If the Hall of Famers set the stage, today's marquee names cranked the volume. On his weekly Podcast P, Paul George kicked things off. Look, there's a reason the ratings spike when Caitlin plays. She's the face right now, and she's not just hooping, she's talking back. I love it. They can be mad, but the game's bigger with her in it. You don't dim a light that bright. You guard it. You grow it. Within 24 hours, Trae Young posted a clip of logo threes captioned Caitlin Range, and when asked whether she could handle an NBA hackfest, he laughed. She's already surviving it. Y'all just tuning in late. Jamal Murray echoed the sentiment during a Denver scrum. That's called sending a message. I got hit worse my rookie year. And yeah, I swung back the next season. Sometimes you've got to let people know you're not a crash dummy. Suddenly, backing Clark became a trend. Rotation guys retweeted highlight reels tagged Protect22, while bigger stars dropped her name in sneaker launches and livestream Q&As, turning her into the first true cross-brand bridge between the leagues. From a business standpoint, that crossover is gold. When George or Young shouts out a W player, millions of NBA fans peek at the women's schedule, maybe buy a pass, maybe grab a replica jersey, while every hard foul on Clark now risks denting the larger NBA ecosystem. Here's the twist. twist. This active player love doesn't just defend her, it gives her social capital. The next time she checks a veteran or jaws at a heckler, she does it knowing half the men's league has already co-signed her edge. That support also turns up the heat on her critics. When icons and contemporaries applaud, anyone still calling Clark a bully looks like they're punching down, fuel for the next round of fireworks. Not everyone cheered the new edge. Hours after Clark's flagrant on Angel Reese, four-time champ Cheryl Swoops jumped on a studio panel and labeled Clark the real bully, insisting the hard foul crossed the line and that Clark walked away instead of owning it. The comment sliced through social media like a razor. Half the replies cheered Swoops for protecting the game, while the other half accused her of rewriting the playbook the moment the rookie hit back. Then the ex-NBA crowd answered. Kenyon Martin rolled his eyes on a live stream. That wasn't even a hard foul. Angel shoved before it was worse. Gilbert Arenas chimed in, calling the reaction a flop for cameras, and Nick Young added, "If that's a flagrant, the league's gone soft." Their point was blunt. Clark's check looked tame compared with the elbows she'd eaten as a rookie, but nobody cried bully back then. The debate turned from physicality to optics. Critics argued that if roles were reversed, Reese fouling Clark, it would headline every sports show for days. Supporters fired back with receipts. Last season, Clark got hip checked, shoulder blocked, even tripped at midcourt, and the usual advice was, toughen up. Now that she returns the favor, the narrative flips. Fans noticed the double standard, and hashtag keep that energy trended all night. What matters is perception, and the perception war is far from over. Swoops isn't backing down, neither are the former pros defending Clark. Each interview, each quote tweet stokes a rivalry bigger than any single foul. And while the legends debate sportsmanship, television execs are busy counting viewers because controversy, whether righteous or recycled, has a funny way of ringing the cash register. The night Clark flattened Angel Reese, national broadcast cracked 1 million live viewers, triple last season's average, and resale sites priced mid-court seats at NBA levels. By week's end, her number 22 jersey was on back order, and a sneaker spot that tucked her between Steph and Ja's spiked web traffic 40% overnight. Streaming apps rushed to slap can't-miss banners on fever games, while fantasy sports platforms launched a women's daily lineup option weeks ahead of schedule to ride the surge. TV partners now label marquee matchups Clark Nights, pouring fresh promo budgets into teasers that ask only one question: will the league shield its star or stoke the feud? That windfall is changing the ecosystem in real time. Veterans who once dismissed the rookie spotlight are suddenly fielding bigger endorsement offers because the whole pie just grew. Coaches preach restraint, fearing a reckless flagrant that could scare sponsors, and owners quietly lobby for stricter review rules to keep their golden goose upright. Every bruise Clark absorbs risks millions. Every highlight she delivers adds millions more. And that tension between danger and dollar signs has become the league's most valuable commodity. With television cash pouring in and bruises piling up, the chatter inside league circles has taken on an almost hockey-like tone. Does Caitlin Clark need an enforcer? Indiana insiders say the front office has quietly canvassed the market for a rugged forward willing to burn fouls, box out elbows, and set screens that rattle teeth. A Draymond for Curry, as one scout put it. Names float through group chats. Sophie Cunningham, Tiara McCowan, even a vet power forward rumored to be negotiating a buyout. Each option dissected less for scoring and more for attitude. Clark's teammates aren't waiting. Practice reports mention little dust-ups. A message to anyone who thinks the rookie phenomenon is still fair game. Meanwhile, high above the floorboards, lawyers and execs draft what some call the Clark Clause, a mid-season tightening of flagrant guidelines aimed at curbing targeted, repetitive contact. Refs have already received extra video sessions. Broadcasters hint that techs may fly faster in nationally televised games. The paradox is obvious. The same fireworks driving record ratings could also derail the league's golden quarter if a single cheap shot goes wrong. Fans, podcasters, and fantasy sharps now refresh the transaction wire like it's free agency week, waiting to see who Indiana signs, or whether the rulebook itself will become Clark's best bodyguard. One thing is certain, the next hard foul won't just shake the arena, it could rewrite how the W polices its brightest star, and how much bigger the boom gets when she bounces back. 17%. That one number set off a chain reaction none of us can ignore. It slapped a target on Caitlin Clark's jersey, lured rivals into cheap shots, and finally pushed her to answer with a shoulder of her own. The instant she did, Hall of Famers cheered, active NBA stars amplified, and the money machine roared awake, turning every bruise into primetime gold. Now the league stands on a razor's edge. One path, officials clamp down, Indiana signs its bodyguard, and Clark's swagger keeps filling arenas while tempers cool. The other, another flagrant lands wrong, sparks a bench-clearing feud, and forces the W to choose between spectacle and safety in real time. Either way, the next elbow won't just be a foul, it will be a referendum on how far women's basketball will go to guard or gamble its brightest light. So keep your eyes locked on that target. Every shove, stare down, and late night podcast rant isn't just shaping a season, it's rewriting what star power, rivalry, and revenue look like in the modern WNBA. If you're ready to see how the next chapter unfolds, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss a single twist in the Caitlin Clark saga.